Hello, and welcome to episode 237 of the Arena Regulars podcast. I'm Zach,
And I'm Jeff.
and we're your source for drunken Magic the Gathering arena content.
That's right. Just a couple of regular guys drinking some irregular beers, talking about Magic the Gathering, in particular, the online client, MTG Arena.
That's right, and this week we got a extra special episode, which is we're doing like a limited check-in for Secrets of Strixhaven, which is going to be very helpful because Jeff and I are actually playing in a tournament next week, not on Arena, actually in paper, which is crazy. I know we just said we talked about Arena, but we're playing a paper tournament. It's wild stuff here. Anyway, but first, each week we bring a beer, we drink it, we rate it on a scale from bronze to mythic, just like the tiers in Arena. So with that, Jeff, what is on tap this week?
All right. I am excited to announce that this week we are going to be drinking Artificial Paradise from Clifford Brewing. Clifford is a local brewery for me. It's in Hamilton. They make a lot of good stuff, so I'm excited to try this one. It's an India Pale Ale with Citra, Simcoe, and Galaxy. Absolute classics. Those are
Delicious.
banger hops. And this thing clocks in at... Alright. Not going to lie, Zach. It's a little higher than what we've been accustomed to recently.
Oh boy.
But it's still only 6.4%. So
Okay, all right.
it's something we can handle.
That's the highest one we've had in a while, though, I will say.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, well, Snapio is not bad, right? Like 6 or something.
Yeah, last week we did a 6%, but I just mean in general. We tend to, as we're doing what we consider dad beers, which are like 4.5 to 5.5-ish.
Yeah.
If you can get like a 3-pointer in there that's actually delicious, you're like, whoa, buddy.
Yeah.
And, I'm
That's the
pretty sure
holy grail.
the market is going up on those low ABV beers. Like you're starting to see them around, and I'm starting to buy them, and I'm starting to be happy.
You know, I remember like a decade ago, Moosehead came out with Cracked Canoe or whatever. And it
Yeah.
was 3.2 or 3.
I thought was it 3.2? I thought it was 4.
No, Cracked Canoe was less than 4 for sure, because it was like
Okay.
it was in the 3s. Because I remember thinking like, what the hell are they doing? They have this like expensive beer, and it's 3. Why would anyone buy this? And now I'm like, those geniuses were just ahead of the curve.
They were so ahead of their time. Cracked Canoe is 3.5%, and I did buy it actually. I would buy Cracked Canoe. My wife kind of dabbles in drinking or like being sober or like
That's what I thought it was for at the time, of like just like, the someone who's not a huge beer person is going camping or something. They want something in their hand. But now I'm kind of like, if they're making a tasty 3.5%er, I'm into it. So
Yeah, honestly, I have gone camping with Cracked Canoe before, but it's been a really long time, and I don't think we did it on the Silver Series. So
it's a bit bougie for a camping beer, to be honest. But,
Cracked Canoe is bougie.
Yeah, man, it's like upscale. It's like $50 2-4 kind of thing, Like,
Is it?
I don't think it's cheap.
I do not remember it being that expensive. Wow. Okay,
I mean, first of all, that's not that expensive, but
that's true.
yeah. But, unfortunately,
Well, anyway, maybe we're going to have to try some Cracked Canoe on the podcast. That's so funny that we're talking about a completely different beer, but we spent more time covering an old beer that's been out for a while.
But this isn't even twice the ABV of that. So there you go.
That's true. So it's better that we drink this instead of 2 Cracked Canoes.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Which, I'm happy about that. Anyway, Jeff, let's crack this open. Let's get it going. And let's start the show. Ooh. It's darker than I thought it was going to be, and I'm happy about it.
It is dark, eh?
Yeah. All right. Cheers, buddy.
Cheers.
We have some magic news. Okay, so June 5th to the 7th, which is next weekend, is the Arena Limited Championship Qualifier, also known as an ALCQ. People say that, right? ALCQ.
Classic. Yeah, I hear that just being slung around all the time.
Constantly. It rolls off the tongue. However, like we said, that is actually the weekend we won't be participating in. This is an event that we actually are interested in doing, the limited like championship qualifiers, which is a new event. If you haven't heard about it, in 2027, there's going to be like a pro tour style all limited event that is in paper. However, you can qualify to be in that event by playing in there's going to be Arena Limited Championship. And then that, if you do well in the Arena Limited Championship, you can go to this bigger event. It's really cool. It's the new hotness this last year. We've been very excited about it. It's also, those qualifiers are really cool. If you go to like a 2-day event, you scrub out of day one of your actual event, you can usually play the qualifier for this bigger event on day 2, which was a possibility at the Spotlight that we were at back in February. But just got to say it's really difficult when face to face our Canadian champions. They are like, I think I've heard this sounds bad. They've kind of said like they're like the Walmart of Magic stores in Canada. Which is a weird way of putting it, mainly just because they're just a staple, and they're everywhere as far as like their tour is.
I get what they're going for, but I neither agree with it nor like it. So
I think I also have the same feelings towards it.
They have 2 locations, you know what I mean?
I know, but they travel everywhere. You can always go to one of these events. Anyway, it sounds worse than it actually is.
Sounds like there's some sort of evil like empire controlling, which maybe some people in the Canadian, like some other game stores who are trying to crack into getting competitive tournaments, probably feel like face to face does have that stranglehold,
And I think that might be them labeling themselves that way because they know how they kind of might look to other stores,
right?
But them being like, yeah, we do have this big thing, but like they're also very accessible. Like all the stores are, I mean, like the events are welcoming to everybody. They're easy to get to and all that kind of stuff. So when they do come to town and there is an event, we do try our best to make it out to them. And well, this one isn't actually coming to town. It's just going to Hamilton, Ontario.
Yes, it's coming to town. It's so close to me.
I know. So I'm thinking about taking the train down, and we're gonna play in this event. But it is a Secrets of Strixhaven limited event. So we got to brush up on some of our limited stuff. I know this is kind of like later in the season to be doing like a check-in for limited stuff.
But hey, they just started the real competitive drafts, right?
That's
like,
true.
That kicked in like last week, right?
Yeah, because we had like we've had a lot of like we've already had a couple arena directs. The last arena direct is ending this weekend, which they're making these longer actually. Jeff, I don't know if you noticed this, but normally the arena directs start on Friday, and then they end on like Monday morning, but really like Sunday. The current one started yesterday. It started on a Wednesday.
Oh,
so it's going Wednesday to Sunday, and so
cool.
They're stretching it. It feels like to me they are definitely making enough money doing these events that they're like, people need more time to be able to play in these, which I personally think is awesome, because trying to squeeze in getting a run or two in with work and everything, and I work on the weekends, so Friday is kind of like my Monday sometimes. And so it's like the worst time to start trying to like set aside some time to play competitive Magic. And so adding this extra little buffer has been really cool. And I would be playing in an Arena Direct event this time around, except for the fact that I got I got my teeth kicked in real bad this last time. It's hard. It's hard when you just get destroyed.
Honestly, that's the killer thing about these Arena Direct events is like it only takes one where you like do a couple of entries where you get zero returns, like
Yeah,
0-2
like
or 1, even like 2-2. Um,
2 and 2
Once that
suck.
happens to you one time, it's such a huge drain on your gems balance that
It is, especially because like we've talked about this before on the podcast that like a lot of folks that like do magic content or in these kinds of spaces go wild with these events, and they like are great players, but they also have a much higher bankroll than we might feel appropriate for such events.
That's essentially a business expense for them, right? If they're making
It's true.
content out of these videos, then
And that content does well enough that they can then get returns on it. But it's, they're spending hundreds of dollars, and I, can afford a bullet or two. But when the
right.
first bullet does so badly, you're like, well, I can't really just toss another one into this thing. A lot of times you're just like, I'm just gonna not, I think I'm good on this one. And then the itch comes back in the in 2 weeks,
That's the
and then I'm
problem.
like,
Yeah,
I know. So it happens again, and
and you're like, oh man, if I punt this one, then I'm gonna have to grind for so long to get my gems back.
yeah, yeah. So I have played in the last two. I put bullets in both of them, and I went 0-2 in the collector booster one, and I went 2-2 in the last one. So I think it's time to just to give it a rest. I'm going to take a break.
Well, it sounds like you're just due for a great result. And
No,
so,
Jeff, no, don't put that in my head.
what I'm saying is, in Hamilton, you're
Oh,
due
sure,
you're
sure,
due
sure.
for a great pool and a great result. At your next competitive sealed SOS.
There, sure, sure, sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That will be better. I mean, the competition is Hamilton's a modern city, in the sense that they play modern magic. Not that it's
Yeah, not in the sense that
no.
sentence would usually mean.
Most of the magic players play modern over there, and
It's
so
actually kind of
that
old school because it was a steel town, so it has that.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
still that area of the city. But,
yeah. So though that RCQ is a lot more full, while the limited one is a little bit more, a little on the smaller side, which gives me hope. I was gonna say advantage, but I don't think I have an advantage. I just feel
gives
better.
me optimism.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Maybe I won't
I
scrub out
only
of
have
this
to
one.
beat 60 other people.
Yeah. Yeah. So, so I'm looking forward to this a lot, and I just want I'm just looking forward to this whole thing. That's great. Um, Jeff, what is your mindset coming into seemingly the end of this draft format? As we're like, next week is Marvel superheroes pre-release, not pre-releases. What is that called? Spoilers. Previews and spoilers are coming out next week. They're going to start the whole thing, and the tournament's kind of in the middle of all the spoilers for Marvel stuff. So we really are at the very end of it. I don't know. Have you played in an event this late in the lifespan of a draft format?
I mean, probably, but like not that I can really remember.
Yeah.
Like especially not since this newer era where the turnover's so fast. Like it doesn't feel that unusual
Late.
relative to kind of really old standards where the there was one set for months, if you can imagine. 2 months. But yeah, I guess you're right. It's kind of like this is the end of the format, and they're doing a big sealed event right at the end. I think that's. I I think that's interesting because, well, so you asked how I was feeling about this format. I think for me, this format is one of the, at least in the, again, this modern era where we have so little time, really, with a format. I often find that the metagame after 2 weeks is the metagame. And there's the self-correcting draft thing for the most part, but really, like, the best decks are the best decks, and the crappy decks are the crappy decks, and everyone's playing with that knowledge. But I think for me, things changed the most with this format, where I wouldn't say that, like, there was a deck that I thought was terrible, and now it turns out it's awesome. But it's more like the difference is sharper than I originally thought. So let me tell you what happened with me with this format, which was the first time I ever played it. And I described this on air, which was that I played against a Witherbloom deck that by all accounts was doing fucking everything right. Like, they had the uncommons that they needed, they had the rares that you would presumably want in such a deck, they had the payoffs for the life gain, they had the enablers for the life gain, and I still just kind of beat them without that much effort from my, like, Quandrix ramp nonsense. And so I kind of decided early, like, okay, so got it. Witherbloom is the weakest school. And then I saw that on 17 lands early on, and the confirmation bias hit hard, where I was just like, just don't draft Witherbloom anymore. Like, it sucks. I've seen it suck in action. I was correct. Stay away at all costs. Everything is better than Witherbloom. And I never really liked Prismari, but I did like Quandrix. I had this weird, like, I always seem to end up in Quandrix for some reason. I know, I disgusted myself.
Dirty.
Zach.
Yeah, you
But
dirty,
I convinced
dirty
myself that it was the math aspect of it. You know, we had that in common. But it was one of those things where everyone else clearly hated Quandrix cards, and I was like, ooh, score. And I would end up there too often. And so then when the Pro Tour happened, and there were players who were clearly not only willing to draft Witherbloom, but were showing a preference for it. They were like, they were targeting it because of this confirmation bias that was happening with everyone else, right? They were basically coming to the table saying, I know Witherbloom's not the best deck, but it's not as bad as you guys think it is, and you guys are going to pass me good cards. And so in a tight spot, I'm going to pick the Witherbloom card.
Yes.
And then being successful with that strategy made me kind of rethink things a little bit. And then now if you look at the 17 lands numbers, it's a very, like, stark distribution, which is basically that it's still true that you want to be Lorehold or Silverquill. Those are still the top decks. But it's basically like there's two tiers of decks. There's those two and the other three.
Yeah.
And the other three are perfectly playable at like a 54% win rate, pretty much even. And Lorehold and Silverquill are a noticeable bump above that at 57%. And it's just kind of like a two-tier game. And that's super interesting to me where we ended up here, because I would have thought, like, my original ranking kind of had Witherbloom at the bottom, the blue decks kind of in the middle, and then Lorehold and I had Lorehold at the top
Above
and
Silverquill.
But it seems to have flipped. But basically they're sort of the same. And to just know that it's kind of like you're competing either for the top two decks or anything else is fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
I think the one thing that was important, like you had mentioned the Pro Tour and players playing Witherbloom, the thing that they had kind of pinpointed is that, like, playing an aggressive Witherbloom deck was possible and something that people wanted to focus on. And I've seen a lot of trophy decks and things that they were focusing on where the curve kind of tops out around 3, with maybe like 2 cards above that being like, I don't know, some bombs that are like 5s or something. But trying to, instead of doing this mid-range soup kind of thing that just gains a bunch of life and gets value and plays the long game, it's like you have to be a little bit more aggressive. And because you're doing these gain life stuff or these some of these synergies, you just don't have to worry about racing. Like, it's just not, you're going to win the race because you're getting so much life. And it is important to point out that Nathan Stoyer, the winner of that Pro Tour, he was implementing the same strategy.
Yeah.
I was trying to pull up
that's
his...
right. It wasn't just like random Joe Schmoes who were picking up the Witherbloom cards. Yeah.
Exactly. So I was trying to find his actual limited, like how well he did in limited in the actual event, because I can't remember if he won this match, but on day 2, he played against the other player in the pod. So there were only 2. I think there were 2 people playing Witherbloom in his day 2 pod, and they basically had pretty similar decks, but like cards he thought were going to wheel got stopped by that player across from him. And I didn't actually know if he ended up winning that battle of the Witherbloom decks or not. But presumably yes, because I think he did pretty well in day 2 to then get him into the top 8.
Yeah. Can't say for sure without looking it up, but
yeah,
odds are yes.
Yes. But I think your analysis is pretty spot on for kind of what we're looking at, that like you can play anything. It just kind of depends on what type of build you want to do, because I think that WotC has, and people have talked about this before, but there's been a large like onus on talking about 5 archetype formats. And this is another one, right? We have all the colleges, or all the 5 different types. We're getting a 5 archetype draft format with Reality Fracture, we know for sure, because they're doing the allied colors. All the small sets that we have are 5 archetypes. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Spider-Man. Lorwyn was 5 archetypes, which I thought was going to be 10, but that was kind of a surprise. And I feel like they're moving into doing 5 archetypes a bit more, but just trying to make those archetypes deeper. So instead of being like, there are 10 archetypes and 8 players at the table, everyone finds their lane, there's 2 that are left over, you do what you do. And if everyone just kind of plays nice, you all get to have what you want. Instead, they're like, how about we do 5 archetypes? People do have to fight over certain pieces, but each archetype has multiple ways that you could build it. And there's certain cards that are like, well, this card is good in like the blue-red aggro deck, but then the blue-red like big spells deck wants a different card or whatever. Like, sometimes you open pieces that will help you. Like I've been playing Prismari a lot, which I know is kind of like a mid-tier thing, but it just so happens that people keep passing me.
It's the worst.
It is not the worst, but it's
isn't it? Hold on.
Okay,
on.
by
pull
point.
Up the numbers.
Oh god,
pull up the
it.
numbers. It's the worst.
By 0.1 points. Whatever. Let's see. If we separate the splashes, then what happens?
I was gonna say, you're right. It's better than Azorius. You got me.
Okay, if you take out the splashes, it's better than the Quandrix by 0.2 points. So take that, Jeff.
How dare you?
Yeah, because obviously Quandrix gets a big boost because it gets to like splash white cards and stuff. Like you get to play Quandrix and then splash a white card that's a bomb.
This is a reason to.
Yeah. Anyway, people keep passing me for some reason, or I just open it, or I don't know what's going on. But I have been able to play Exhibition Tidecaller so much in this draft format, and it's awesome. So
I've
when
only
I'm like
lost to that card and never won with it.
So I keep having these drafts where I open my first pack, and I tend to get like a Molten Core Maestro or like some red card that's like, okay, I think I want to play this card. But maybe instead of playing Prismari, I can try to be playing Lorehold. My first pack is a lot of red cards, but a couple white cards. I feel like I might be Lorehold, but then the end of the pack is a lot of blue stuff. And then pack 2, I open like Exhibition Tidecaller, or like there's a bunch of blue cards and then I get past it or something. And then I'm like, well, I guess I'm doing the Prismari thing again. And the last deck I had, which didn't get a trophy, unfortunately, I made some misplays that were pretty egregious. But I did have Exhibition Tidecaller and Mathemagics, like just the combo. And, oh, buddy, it was great. Almost every single game I was winning because I was milling people out. Like, that was my primary game plan. And then sometimes I would beat them down with, like, flyers or, like, the Trampoline Uncommon guy that I never remember his name. The Ike, I think, performs pretty badly, but I still like playing him. Oh my god, I'm scrolling down so far to find the name of this card. This is so sad. Okay, maybe I just passed it because I have no idea where he is. Anyway.
That happens to me anytime I use
okay.
lands.
No, I found it.
Past the card I'm looking for.
You're like, what? It worse? No. The Tackle Artist. The 4-mana 4/3 that gets counters when you do spell stuff, and it has trample. But that card was beating down. It's considered like a D level card, D plus, but it still wins. So I still play it. Anyway,
this is one of those cards I almost never play.
Yes,
it's just one of the ones that doesn't inspire me.
I mean, it's the type of card that I like. So where it's like, hey, let's play this big thing, and if it dies, it dies. But if it doesn't die, awesome.
I don't really like that. I just hate the 3 toughness.
That is bad. I'm not gonna lie. The
That's
thing
all I
that
have to
makes
say.
it
That is bad.
that is bad. The one thing I will say is that like at least at common for red removal spells, I mean, it does die to last gasp. I get it. Like that's a big one. But like the Tome Blast being 2 and then Unsubtle Mockery being 4 is like, well, if it had 4 toughness, it doesn't really matter. It would have died anyway to the card that would have killed it. And then like a Johnny's Response also kills it. So, there's just a bunch of stuff. It just
Bummer
like,
for me is Impractical Joke. Maybe I just hate that card, but it's like
the 1-mana deal 3.
4-drop killed by Impractical Joke. It's like, oof.
Yeah. I do have to say, Impractical Joke, I really wish that this didn't just say up to 1 target creature, because the way that Arena works is that because it says up to 1 target creature, you can deal 3 damage to it. It just keeps your stop on every time it's your turn.
Have you ever seen a game where somebody cast this with no targets to get the like prowess victory? Has that ever happened in your
either the prowess victory or the damage can't be prevented this turn thing, like, which never comes up
at sorcery speed?
Yeah, sorcery speed. You do
you
that
have to
get
preempt
through,
that you think your opponent's going to prevent damage
or do something.
Game Unlimited.
Yeah. So it's, I don't know. It just drives me nuts. It's like, can we just say that this says
I've never
deal
seen
3
anyone
damage?
cast this with no targets, but I have surmised that my opponent has this in their hand based on
Because of
stops
such a
at my
thing.
arena. Yeah.
Basically, it means like if you have Impractical Joke in your deck, you almost just want to start the game off with an island so that
Never
you just
lead on mountain. Yeah.
don't lead on mountain, because like
Or if
inevitably
you do, be prepared to hit that space bar quickly, my friend.
yeah, or be prepared to play the entire match with like a full stop on or whatever, where you have to click through every phase.
Don't do that. Zach, we can't recommend people do that.
Well, I just want to say that because when I was watching the Arena Championship, everybody's doing
It is the technically
that.
correct thing to do on Arena always, right?
Yes.
Like if you're not worried about your clock, which
Mm-hmm.
probably shouldn't be,
Yeah.
you should just hold it so your opponent never gets any information from these types of things.
Mm-hmm.
But we're not talking about the Pro Tour here, We're not talking about the Arena Championship.
I was going to say
We're
we're not talking about the Pro
in
Tour
6 minutes.
while you're on the bathroom and as your kid is like knocking on the door.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
You're like,
My child can't do that yet, but she will. because
Yeah.
holy moly, does she want to run around? She's gonna be
Just
wild.
wait, buddy.
Oh, God. I mean, I do have a girl, so like it might be different, but we'll see.
Hopefully.
Well, hopefully. But I will say it. I really liked watching the Arena Championship. It was historic. It was fun just to like have a couple naps. I got to watch little bits of it, not a ton. But man, is it kind of it's rough watching all the stops on everybody's turns. It
Like,
just
just
slows
imagine
everything
if
down.
you're watching, like, paper Magic, but it's done with a chess clock, and both players take about a second before hitting their thing, so they don't give away information about what's in their hand.
Yeah.
At every phase, turn of Magic, like,
Yeah, like every time you pass priority, so when people talk about chess clocks, for
there's
tournaments,
a reason Magic doesn't use chess clocks.
it's because you have to make more than one move on your turn. Like,
Right.
it's not so simple. Yes, Magic Online does it, but that's because it's a computer and it can tell when you're doing stuff and when you're not on the clock. But anyway, I just have to say that's my only gripe about the Arena Championship
I'm
and
just
Arena
thinking about
tournaments.
that, actually, because, like, the Magic Online gets away with it because you can set hotkeys to, like, you can preset all this stuff, and a computer just executes it. And for some reason, I just thought of, like, one of those birds, that
Oh,
goes up and down,
into
and someone
water.
has set it exactly right so that it hits the chess clock at the
Oh.
right phases and stuff.
Oh my God. I will say it would be interesting if actually might be a great idea. If you had a chess clock, but you could hit the chess clock with your foot. That way you don't have to, because Magic, obviously there's so like in paper tournaments, they've already talked about the number of pieces that you have to deal with. It's like Arena does all the counters and all the tokens and all the stuff for you, but like in paper you have to shuffle your deck, and you have to like when you're searching through it and cut people's decks and shuffle their decks, and then you have to like find tokens to pull them out to do stuff, and you have to open dice bags to put dice on things and make sure the dice are at the right thing, because it's just like, so many
Also,
things.
a huge reason that you can't use chess clocks in paper.
It's just too much. It's too much. But if you could hit the chess clock with your foot, then that's just an extra extremity that's like, okay, I'm doing some stuff, click, go, and you can just kind of have the same back and forth, but like you don't have to hit the clock or put your hand down or hold cards I always have to hold cards in my right hand because the chess clock's on this side, stuff like that. Like,
Okay, well,
would
that's
just-
actually kind of funny because when I was much younger, I randomly joined some like local chess tournament. I don't even really remember why. I think my
wow,
friend
that
did.
doesn't even sound like something you would do.
I know, it was super nerdy.
Yeah.
My friend wanted to, but I playing. I think my first game or one of my first games, and I moved my piece with my left hand, and then I hit the clock with my right hand. Whole ordeal. Like,
Oh.
I got a judge called on me. This was a big deal because they're trying to stop you from doing like. So you have to you have to hit the clock with the same hand that you moved the piece with.
Dear God.
Which I didn't know. Nobody told me
Yeah.
that.
How am I supposed to know
And
that?
yeah, I forget what the consequence was, but there was some sort of consequence for this.
Game loss.
And I was like, and I did it so slowly that I was like, I was obviously not trying to cheat. You could have just like been like, hey, dude, just so you know, you can't do that.
Yeah.
But just when you said like, oh, I always have things in my hand and I want to hit the clock anyways, I was like, no, my friend, that is a big no, apparently. But the thing is, like, if you're shuffling, and I have to wait for you to shuffle to like continue the course of the game, like whose clock should that be You're just whacking it with your foot, and I'm like, now I'm paying clock time for you to shuffle your goddamn deck.
And then you're like, no, and then, well, that's when you call a judge and you're like, hey,
Yeah.
or you click your
Foot
foot
clocks
thing.
would be a disaster. People would just
Well,
be trying to put it on the other opponent's clock all the time.
Well, then you would, that's true. And then every Magic player would have to learn how priority works.
Oh, that.
God, can't even. Yeah, that's way too much work already.
Just play on Arena.
Just I guess just play on Arena and keep your freaking stops on every single phase.
And suffer the odd paper nightmare where you get a draw going to time against an opponent who is definitively way slower than you. It's just part of the game.
Yeah, it just sucks. Maybe that's what I should do at the tournament. I should just slow play. I should just. I should win game 1, and then play super slow game 2.
I will revoke your Arena Regulars playmat so as not to be embarrassed
By such a task.
Like,
No,
I'm not affiliated with this gentleman.
no. In fact, I'm the opposite. Where like I am way too nice to my opponent. Where they're like, "Sorry, I'm just thinking through something." I'm like, "Yeah, take as much time as you want. Go for it." I'm just like,
Yeah.
da-ba-da-ba-da. Yeah. No,
In a competitive event, you kind of have to be like, I understand, but I do have to ask you to make a move soon or whatever.
Yeah. I'm not good at that. I'm much better. See, I have a server brain far too often where I'm like, hey guys, so happy hour ends in about 7 minutes. So I'm going to do a lap. I'm going to give you a minute. You can still order, but I'm going to come right back. I come back in 2 minutes. They're like, oh, we're not quite ready yet. I'm like, that's fine. It's okay. We still have 5 minutes. So, I'll come back. I'm just going to slide your order like right at the buzzer. I'm going to help you out. Don't worry about it. Just so they can get like $2 off their Aperol Spritz.
2 hours later.
Yeah. So I have a lot of that in me already. So it's hard to push that out when I'm face to face with a person at a face to face event playing Magic.
Yeah, that being said, it's not common that I've had to say that to people.
You're
Like
just so
sometimes
used to it.
you say like the nice thing. You're just like, yep, just reminding you, like,
Mm-hmm.
you have to make a play soon or whatever. And that's even fairly rare. But the times where I've like, it's been like a couple of times that I can think of where I was like, it's been several times that I've asked you to, make your plays faster. I'm gonna have to call a judge or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
which has happened, and it's awkward when it happens. But usually the person who's doing it is either awkward or, unfortunately, doing it on purpose.
Doing it on purpose. So. Or both of those things.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is just very unfortunate. I guess one pro to playing on Arena, you don't have to deal with those types of things. And the Arena gods are your judge.
That's right.
You're like, yeah.
Arena's
So
the opposite, where if I like stop to think about what I'm gonna do, I get your go. Okay.
That's true.
Settle down,
okay.
Chief.
Hold up, buddy. And then they just go like just crazy on the emotes thing. I did actually have to stop.
I can see a turn and a half later.
I will say that I recently, my go-to beginning of a match used to be like "Hello, good game."
Mm-hmm.
It's just like and I would click through it so fast that I was so used to doing it that like it would just kind of come out before my first land enter the battlefield. And playing in these discords, in the Pauper Discord, in the Planar Standard Discord, and all this stuff, people would ask me like, "Hey, why do you do that?" And I don't know if I talked about this on the podcast before, but I was just like, yeah, it's just like I don't have any buttons that say like "Good luck, have fun." So like I'm saying like, "Hey, good game." Like let's have a good game. And they're like, "Oh, okay, yeah." It comes off super rude. I'm like, "Oh, sorry." They're like, it seemed pretty very quickly. I realized that you weren't trying to be an ass about it. And then they're like talking to you right now. Like you're not doing this to like try to provoke anybody. But just so you know, it comes out of me. And I've had enough people say that to me now that I'm like, you know what? Maybe I can just stick with the hello, and then I'll get rid of the good game. And just I've so cooled down on my good game. When I first started playing Arena, I used to use good game a lot more, and now I've like pulled it way back.
Well, it's so interesting because when I was like in high school, I used to play Warcraft 3, and okay, that game was old even when I was in high school. Okay, guys, I'm not that old. I just liked it, but you would usually start with like GLHF, like good luck, have fun, very standard way you would target. Because in this game, I don't know if you knew about this, but you could just like type whatever you wanted to your opponent. It was very different time, I guess. But a lot of players would start with GGGL, like good game, good luck. And I never understood that because I was like, to me, GG was always like at the end of the game, hey, good game, whatever. But they were using it as a greeting. But I just like understood. I didn't understand why that was something
they
would
were doing
say at the start of a game. But I understood the intent, right? And the correlation I found was that was very common in like the Korean and like Chinese communities. They would always, those players would generally say GGGL, and the North American players would say GLHF. So it's just kind of a different tradition or whatever. Like
right, yeah.
So you saying that is like, I understand where sort of everyone's coming from here, because like
so
I've been on that other side where I was like, I would just say good game at the start of a game, but then I also am just like, well, it's clearly just it's meant to be like, let's have a good game or whatever. There's some words missing there, but I know what the intent is.
Well, Jeff, so you're telling me that I'm Korean? Is that what you're saying? That like
well, we'll have to see. How good are you at Warcraft 3 and or StarCraft 2?
Horrible. Those are not games for me. Army base building things, never been great at that. Though I did have a Korean friend in junior high who did play a bit of that. But if he played that game any way that he played Magic with us, which was, how do you say, he he liked to cheat, but like it was really endearing and funny.
Oh yeah,
because obviously he was our friend and we weren't in tournaments and stuff, but he would just like, when you weren't looking, he would just draw extra cards and you'd be like, dude, you can't draw extra cards. It's like, I just don't have the right ones in my hand. I was like, he's like, I got a combo, I just don't have them. And so yeah, but we're just in my basement on the ground like playing, Yeah. And so it was really funny, but it was like, you gotta watch this guy because he will just do that stuff.
I do that sometimes with like party games or whatever. It just doesn't matter. There's like 8 of us, we're all drinking, and just be like, someone else will clearly have won the card, but they'll be talking, and I'll just put it in my pile.
Yeah, exactly. Like under something or whatever. Yeah.
And then at the end of the game, they're like, well, I won with 17. They're like, I don't think you won a single one of these cards.
Yeah.
Everyone's looking through my wins. They're like, I won that one. I won that
one. Yeah, see, that's
Oops.
great. See, oh, my bad. See, this is the kind of whimsy.
In those games, I say that, hey, if you didn't notice.
Well, I will say, okay, did you ever play the game?
That's what I always tell them.
Turns out you're the judge.
I'm the only,
because you brought the games.
Judge.
Yeah. No, did you ever play Munchkin? Do you know that game? Yeah. So it's basically like just a dungeon crawling card game thing.
I've played it like once or twice, and I liked it both times. But then you need to know someone who wants to play Munchkin.
Wants to play him. We learned at Boy Scout camp, which is like, I played a lot of Magic at Boy Scout camp, but we also played Munchkin, and we played a ton of it. But one of the rules that's in Munchkin is that if the player to your right or whatever, the person in front of you, doesn't like take their turn fast enough, you just get to keep playing the game. Like that was one of the rules that was written in there. And it, like they make a joke where it's like there's a certain, it's like a very specific amount of time. It's like 12.5 seconds or whatever. And so it's like if your friend's distracted, you just get to skip them. But like we had a friend who would enforce that rule and say it's in the rule book. You can't get mad at me. And we're like, well, but obviously we were discussing something and it was about the game. It's like, he's like, no. And he would
You're
just
discussing like a rules discrepancy on someone's turn. He's like, hey, skip. Skip.
No, sorry. It wasn't even, it's just like if you do something and nobody else does reacts within a certain number of seconds, it just happens. And so one of the things in the game is that if you have monsters that you fight, you can just like fight the monster, and then people usually can add buffs to the monster to make sure that you don't get to beat it and you die. So we would be talking about something and he would just flip over the top card, be like, all right, I'm fighting this monster, and be like, all right, I won the game. And the game would just be over.
This monster.
Yeah, basically. And so it would drive us nuts to the point where we stopped playing Munchkin because of this.
Just don't play with that person.
Well, they're the one who always had the Munchkin games and wanted to play.
Oh, shit.
It also kind of ruined it after that, and then
Yeah, of course.
so.
See, I'm pretty sure I'm remembering now. I played it with my wife's cousin, and he did not introduce that rule. So.
It's obviously a joke rule in the rules. That's like, because board game rules have those all the time now, where they just have these like fun, wacky little thing that we added as like a joke, but it's like in the rule book or whatever. And so it was very obvious that it was not supposed to do it, except for the fact that one of the taglines of Munchkin, the game, is like stab your friends in the back or whatever. So like the whole point is that you're supposed to like play against everybody. It's like Dungeons and Dragons, but you're not helping each other, you're hurting each other.
Yeah, that might be why I liked it.
Yeah. No, it was great. There was one, I had like the space themed one, so it was like all Star Wars, Star Trek jokes. But one of the pieces of armor that you could wear was called strategically placed ribbons. And so, of course, it's a women's torso, but it's like those ribbons right where the places are. And it like, I don't think it really helped your defense very much at all, but it was one of the funniest cards.
It was like
it being
-1
hilarious.
defense.
Essentially, yeah. It was so funny. And that's the only card I think I remember from the entire thing, but I just remember that being being great. Anyway, Magic, Jeff. I did want to say, so we were talking about Witherbloom earlier being a deck that you could actually play in this limited format. However, we are talking about Sealed in particular, and you don't really get to choose to play the aggressive version of Witherbloom in Sealed.
Yeah, that would be pretty rare.
Do you have a different, like, your mindset? How much does it change from draft to Sealed?
Well, I think that the Witherbloom sucks thing was less pronounced in Sealed anyways. Mm-hmm. Because, Sealed is a lot more just about kind of stats and, like, bombs and...
yeah.
It's a little less about synergy than draft is.
But Witherbloom is all about synergy, though, right? They're all...
I think everything in this format is about synergy, like in the draft format, and it comes out a bit more in the wash and Sealed. But what I will say is, like, in terms of bombs, black and green are the weaker colors. Like, they don't have just individual bombs.
True. As opposed to
like the
white
green bombs are like uncommons that are for the 5-color deck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Black.
Not even. Yeah.
Best cards a B plus at Postmortem Professor. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah.
You gotta do what you gotta do, but this format is fairly bomb heavy, and so, when it comes to sealed, I recommend kind of following your bombs a little bit in this format, and I think that will rarely lead you to green-black. So,
Well, it's funny because if you think about a lot of draft formats, sealed formats, you're thinking, all right, I open my pool. I want to go see what lands I have to see what colors I can play because I want to play more than 2 colors because I want to play as many bombs as I possibly can, which then bakes in, well, I'm probably playing green because green's going to give me fixing so I can play all my cards. Which then leads you down this rabbit hole of like, okay, am I playing Naya? Green, red, white? Oftentimes you kind of do fall in I'm green, blue. What's my splash color? And Sultai, like splashing black, happens a lot. And so I feel like I get into this pattern of I'm building a seal deck, and then I'm like looking at it, I'm like, wait, but I'm playing these colors I don't want to play. But it feels like that's what I'm supposed to be doing. And like the teamer thing, I'm more on board with. But then white is so good that it's like, why am I leaving out these white cards? So like, it just feels like a weird trap of like, am I supposed to be doing this? Am I trying to do the converge thing? How important is green in this whole soup of trying to play a bunch of different colors and get all that stuff going? Or should I just kind of lean on lands if I can? Or I guess obviously it just depends on what your pool is and where your strengths are in your pool. But I haven't felt as good with the converge stuff and I'm gonna just play my bombs and my colors will come. It hasn't worked for me, but I also think that's like, it didn't work for me at the spotlight. It just doesn't. Maybe it's just a deck I'm not good at building. Like, I also wonder how much that is part of it for me, is like playing the soup deck. I don't, first of all, I don't love it in general. It's not my favorite thing to do. I'd much rather punish people doing that. And so maybe that's also part of it. I'm just like angry at myself for trying to build this deck.
I think there's a few things. So, okay. I think Wizards spent a bit of time teaching us that that's how you're supposed to build sealed decks. Mm-hmm. Play all your bombs. Mm-hmm. Doesn't matter how you get there.
Yeah.
Fucking figure it out.
Just play it.
And recently I've had a lot more success kind of choosing the opposite mentality, which is find the 2-color pair that lets you play your best bombs. Mm-hmm. And that might not mean your best bomb overall, but like the best combination of bombs, the highest like density. Mm-hmm. Like 3 A's is better than an A plus or whatever kind of thing.
Then 1 A plus, yeah.
And then splash if you need to, because you don't feel like your deck can either get there on playables or just doesn't have the power level. And that's kind of, that mentality has served me a bit better. And I think that's how I'd be approaching this format. I think you should, every pool is going to feel like it can do the 5-color thing, because the 5-color things exist here, and like there are some fixing, and you're going to always be able to convince yourself that you can do that. But I think the reality is that in this format, it's pretty rare. It will happen that you just get dealt the nuts, like Snarl songs and all the payoffs and then all the fixing as well and whatever. But you should kind of assume, or at least this is how I'm going into the sealed event, that that's a trap in sealed. That it's going to look promising and tantalizing, but it's going to underperform because it's just, you're not going to draw the stuff in the right order, right? Like, I will say the big caveat that I have internally for me to this, the card that signals to me that maybe I should look for it, is Environmental Scientist. If I have one or more copies of Environmental Scientist, suddenly it's on the table for me, and I'll consider it. Nothing else will convince me. I have to have. I think that's how I'm going to go. I have to have that card before I even consider it.
So not even like a studious first year.
No, it has to be. It has to be Environmental Scientist.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like you just want to get that.
Maybe
value.
if I had like 3 studios, like if we're really getting there, but I need a reason to be doing this. Studious first year is like it's good in that deck. This card is a reason to play this.
It is true because like it's not necessarily that you're trying to. Studious first year obviously ramps you, to get to where you're trying to go, while Environmental Scientist is the card that just fixes your colors. But it does seem like the ramp part is not as necessary as I need to get my colors right now, and I can't spend a turn if I draw it at an awkward time or whatever to try to do the whole play it then
Studious first year is fragile. So it if you play that and I sniff out that you're doing you need to activate this to get the color for something greedy you're doing. I can interact with that. If I play Environmental Scientist, done. My bomb is online.
It's true. Yeah, because the Studious first year, if I see that on turn 1, and even the amount of times
I would impractical joke it. I think a healthy amount of the time in sealed. Yeah,
just right away.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, thinking about it as, I guess, that's basically the
it's
question.
just a lot
Would
of
you just kill
value
it
in
right
sealed, right? I mean, it's hard to. 1 for 1 is fine.
And making
Don't
sure
let them
that they
2
don't
for
get.
1 yet,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, dang.
So that's the card that really unlocks that for me. Otherwise, I'm just looking to play. Let's just keep it simple, man. If you're not like a sealed master, you haven't played 100 versions for me, you don't know the exact ins and outs. Let's just play a college and just try to figure out what's the best college that we have here, and let your rares kind of kick that off.
Yeah, I mean that was part of the reason why I was talking about hey, I think that Witherbloom might not be a strong color or college in sealed, is because I've played Witherbloom in sealed, and I was scrounging for life gain cards. I had all the payoffs in the world, but I was like, I cannot win unless I can gain life. And I had to dip into blue to be able to do that just because I needed this stupid... one of them I thought was great, was Tam. I was like, okay, I had 2 Tams. I was like, sweet. I like Tam a lot. I think looking at 17 lands now, Tam is not even something I should be loving at all. Where the heck is this card? Down at the bottom. Wow.
Yeah, I had to make that adjustment as well. I think because you told me Tam was great.
Tam looks so good. And so I had 2 Tams, and so I was like, well, this has got to be one of the best cards, right? It just turns out it's just so slow. You can't... It just doesn't do... if you have, a board where obviously nothing's going on, it's what you want to be doing, but, man, it's just so brutal.
I think that's what made it click for me is, a couple weeks ago with Ryan, actually, he was on the show last week. We did a Strixhaven draft, and I drafted Lorehold, and one of my opponents dropped a Tam, and my instinct was like, ooh, I gotta kill that. And then I took a step back, was like, do I though? That's not going to keep up with what I'm doing over here in terms of bringing stuff back and making tokens and putting counters on shit. And I was just like, they don't have time for that shit. I'm going to hold the removal spell and not kill that, and I'm going to kill whatever giant thing they play to try to stabilize the board next turn, and then they're fucked. And that's basically exactly how it played out. And I was like,
Yeah.
I'm so glad I didn't kill that TAM, because it's just not addressing the issue.
Exactly. Because like the TAM is the card draw engine, but like if you can attack into it, then you're like, well, I'll trade any of my creatures for it. And if you value it, you won't block and spend time drawing cards. I love that. That would be great.
Yeah, if that's how you want to spend your time, that's fine. And, like, if you stabilize into the long game, that's not a game I'm winning anyways, so...
Yeah. Which I was not anticipating. I think I still have the cloud of, like, OG Strixhaven being, like, coming into this format, I was so focused on like Teamer being the nuts, and being like Silverquill's not really there. It's like very like low to mid pack, and Lorehold's trash. And this time around is just like the opposite, where it's like it's.
But we
very
talked
much,
about that, right? Like we joked about that before. Where like since Teamer dominated last time, Silverquill has to be the best this time.
It's got to be, and so
that's the way Wizards does it, man.
Yeah, Lorehold and Silverquill are the best, and it just
the Teamer decks are the worst. This time it's literally just like we said, 2 tiers. It's like non-Teamer and the Teamer deck.
Yeah, where Witherbloom before was kind of like in the middle. It was very much like I'm here, and like earlier you had talked about how Quandrix is just feels like it's always open, and that's mostly because of the fact that like people don't want to start green, because green brings you into Witherbloom, a deck that people are trying to like avoid, and then Quandrix, which is like the deck you'll play but like not always like super stoked on. I've also played a lot of Quandrix stuff, so like I get trying not to start on green if you can help it. Because I've had a lot of bad drafts where I start on green. I'm like, oh, this is a sweet green rare. And then like the entire draft kind of falls apart because I'm trying to do something that I don't need to be doing.
I also think people are shooting for the 5-color deck, so they're taking green cards and they end up landing in Quandrix or
that's super true.
Witherbloom.
Yeah. But I think that's a good... Like, it feels very obvious to say, okay, you're playing a sealed event. You're playing a 5-archetype format. Pick one of the 5 archetypes and play it. Seems like a dumb piece of advice. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It makes me feel stupid to have to tell myself that. Because I know when I look at pools, I'll be like, wow, all right, this deck looks pretty clean. But I do have this Evolving Wilds or whatever. I'm like,
these 3 other colors.
Or not even 3 other. It's like, but I could splash for 2 or 3 cards, you know. And then if I'm splashing already, I might as well put in this white card then too. You know, like, and you start to like build this thing, as opposed to being like, looking at a card like Arcane Omens, right? I know this is getting a lot of talk. It's like a 5-mana mind rot, basically. But if you're playing 3 colors, it's still good enough as just like target player discards 3 cards for 5 mana is back-breaking enough that like it's just great. And playing just random off-color lands to help you play this one card is totally fine. Because the amount of times you're like, okay, all I have to do is like land my next big thing, or my hand has the removal spells that I've been saving for their big stuff. And then they're like, Arcane Omens, discard your whole hand. Now I play my big thing. And you're like, well, my answers were in my hand because I was saving them for that. And now...
Yeah, that kind of feels like bullshit. Gonna lie.
Exactly. So that card feels like you can just play that in your Silver Quill decks, and you're just like, yep, I'll play that. That's fine. I'll like beat down your stuff and then make you discard your hand, and you're just done for.
Sure.
But yeah, I don't know. Like, what are you? What would you lean towards the most if you're like opening your sealed pool, and you're like, what am I hoping for? What do I want to be doing?
Well, last time you asked me this question, I said that I wanted Kithkin deck, and that's what I got.
Mm-hmm.
It went well. So, if I could choose what I'm opening,
Mm-hmm.
I want a tight Silver Quill deck, man.
Okay.
I want some nice white cards, and then some black cards that kind of push me towards Silver Quill. And it doesn't have to be too crazy. I just want a curve. I like playing decks with a curve, especially in sealed. I think this is I forget who imparted this wisdom to me, but it kind of goes with what you were saying. And by to me, I mean like it was on their stream or some video or something.
But yeah, you learned it or whatever.
It goes with what you're saying, but it's like in sealed, if you can just build like a functional deck with some removal and some bombs and it works, and then rely on like limited fundamentals, it's on statistically in the long run, I think that's going to get you further than trying to shoot for the moon with a single deck where you're trying to like cram the most upside into it.
Yeah.
But you're also increasing the variance of the deck when you do that.
Totally. This is so funny that you're bringing this up, because earlier I was talking about my Korean friend who had played StarCraft and built these crazy Magic decks where he would just
drew one
draw
too many cards.
Yeah. And the deck that he was playing was it was like the first time that our play group had bought singles. It was him, and he had built the deck, and it was essentially Kamigawa Titans, just the best looking Kamigawa cards.
Sure.
All the pieces of Caldera, like Phage the Untouchable, like all these crazy things that were like, you win the game if you get to play these cards, but basically no setup pieces. So it was just like
all top end, baby. I love
all
it.
top end.
Especially if you're just secretly sneaking some lands onto the battlefield.
Well, he didn't ever sneak lands. He just drew extra cards.
So he just had like 15 bombs in his hand.
But but it would just they wouldn't come out any faster, you know.
Of course.
And it was like it was called like the ultimate deck, basically.
Okay.
And it's so funny that you bring that up, because I remember thinking that deck was trash, because I was like, you can't do anything. Like you just there's just all the colors
function.
But this was also back when, like, for whatever reason, we only played monocolored decks. That was like the thing to do, was like, I play black. I'm a black mage. That's all I do. I don't put green into my deck or red into my deck. I'm playing black. And so the fact that he was playing 5 colors was like, that's stupid. Why would you do that?
It's the exact opposite of what you're supposed to do.
Then you have to get those rare lands. Why would you want rare lands? That's terrible. Those are the worst. So
how far you've gone?
It's so because I'm the opposite now. I only want rare lands. And so it's funny, because that is sometimes the mentality that I get to when I sit down at a sealed pool, and it's just like, I have to build the deck. And it just has like, what's the deck? And then, like, I don't know if I've been crossing my wires, and it's like, oh, that deck from when I was a kid. It's like all the best cool looking cards. When I know it's obviously not. You just need to build a good deck that's functional. Almost if you have like a bunch of 2-drops, that's probably what you're looking for almost.
Honestly, that's the other thing I was going to say.
Yeah.
You just want 2-drops, man.
Yeah. You
In
just need to be
limited,
playing.
limited is all about 2-drops. That's it.
Yeah. That's like
And
the name of the game.
that was why the deck I had at the
Spotlight.
yeah, I kept on. My brain was like GP. It's a GP. It's a GP. I'm like, it's a fucking GP. That's it. 10 years ago, at the Spotlight. That's why that deck was good. Is because I had like 8 2-drops,
Yeah.
and that's all. And I think that's what I asked for. I was like, I want a Kithkin deck with a lot of 2-drops, and so this is
Cool.
what I want. I want a Silver Quill deck with a lot of 2-drops.
Wow. And I'm gonna say I want. I honestly want a lore hole deck that can go face.
Okay,
That's what I want.
there you go.
So I want a lore hole deck where I can get out to an early lead, not finish them off then, but then top deck a burn spell and win the game. That's what I want.
Love it. For a second, I thought you were just going to say, I want a deck with a lot of different bombs across a lot of different colors, but no real common support across any of them. I was like, Zach, no!
No, we just talked about this. That's
Yeah.
not what you want.
No, I like that. Lorehold that could go face, that might be
Yeah.
the dream.
As someone who's played a bunch of Prismari, I'm kind of hoping I don't have Prismari in this. Even though it has been funny playing these, like, the exhibition decks, has felt a little bit like... often the question I'm asking myself is, like, am I the beatdown right now, or am I on the mill plan? And I got to figure that out, and it's just one of my favorite questions to ask myself. So,
You know what? Maybe I want that. I want the Tidecaller Mathemagics Seal.
oh, man. But
But if I want to do well, I kind of want the Silver Quill with a lot of 2-drops thing.
I did want to point out, I have been having way too much fun with Divergent Equation. Now, I know this card is well known. It's like a blue uncommon. It has 2 X's in the cost, so of course during spoiler season I stopped reading it.
One short of being
And-
sexy.
Yes. And I've watched a lot of other people play this card, and I've heard people talk about this card, and obviously, but it's like XX blue instant. Return up to X target instant or sorcery cards from your graveyard to your hand, and you exile the Divergent Equation. And it tends to be a card I don't care for in general, like this effect. I'm just not looking to return instants and sorceries back to my hand with an instant or sorcery. I like the Scrollsmith that does it. You know, there's like some other good like Lorehold cards that do it, but also give you a sweet body. You know, but boy, does the fact that this is an instant really make it juicy and great. Because returning something like the main mode is on their end step, dump all your mana into this, return some spells. Next turn, your hand is full. You start playing the spells. The other mode, however, is your opponent puts a really big bomb on the stack, and then you Divergent Equation your Essence Scatter back to your hand to counter it, and you do, you know, it feels like a 2-for-1, but really it's not. But it's like,
It feels dirtier than it really is, but
yeah. But I've had people like scoop on the spot because of that.
it feels like a Snapcaster counter thing, even though it's not as good as that. Because
It's really not, because you don't get the 2-1, yeah. But it's the fact that this card has that mode is great. If this was just a sorcery, I think I'd still be on the I don't think you should play this. Like it's just so slow. But the fact that you're like, it works so well with counter magic because it's an instant, and you're like, I can hold up a counter, or I can draw the cards from my graveyard, which might be more counter magic or whatever else you have that's juicy. It's just great. I went way up on this.
I like this card. I have actually cast this for X equals 2 with no targets in my graveyard, just to trigger Opus.
Wow.
Which has... Now, you know, it's a little misleading because, like, the card I was triggering Opus on was Color Storm Stallion, but it was
Sure.
yeah, it was a beating. But it was lethal. But it was like this was exactly the opposite of what we talked about earlier. Hating that other card had up to.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that this has up to is super important. And so and that was not uncommon. Like that, the casting it for X equals 2 and getting nothing for lethal, that was rare. But it was often that I would max out X or get X equals 2 to trigger Opus, but only get back one thing, just like in the course of the game. That
just to get normal.
That. And so I think I cast it for X equals 0 just to trigger at times as well. Like it's just a very versatile card. It's way more versatile than cards like this normally are. When you read it, your auto filter is kind of like, nah, that's like this a win more card for spells decks. Whatever.
It feels like a late game card to refill your hand when you could have just play a draw spell instead.
Right, but I think the fact that it can be cast at 1, at 3, at 5, and sort of have
I think that
up and down the curve is
the fact that it does hit the 5 so nicely is perfect.
Yeah, the 5 is nice.
Yeah.
And that's like the dream when you just, like you said, cast on your opponent's end step, get 2 things back. That's the thing I would concede to from the other side of the table. It's like, fuck that.
Yeah.
They just got their 2 best fucking spells back. It's like they pick up I don't even know, but Essence Scatter and Stock Up or some bullshit. Or here we go. You pick up your Mathemagics.
I had
Exhibition Tidecaller Mill deck.
Yeah. No, exactly. I had because sometimes you want to cast Mathemagics for cheap early, just to
right. You want to draw
if it's in your opening
cards
hand
yourself.
Yeah, he's like, I'll draw some cards, then I'll just flip it. I even had my opponent cast that card, and they got back the 7 mana sorcery that makes 2/3/3 flyers, and Disdainful Stroke.
Surprising success with that card. I know it's not rated very highly, but it always seems okay for me.
Yeah, but literally in this situation, it was like they had cast it for 7 already. I already fought through the 2/3/3s. They pick it back up again with Disdainful Stroke while I have Mathemagics in my hand.
No.
So I'm like, well, and all I'm doing is drawing lands afterwards, and so it's like I'm getting beat down by these 3/3s, and I know I can't even target this at myself to draw cards to get out of it,
right.
And I can't target you because it's just going to be gone.
And I have no hope.
And I just drew 3 or 4 lands in a row. I'm like, great, this is over.
See, if they didn't show you that they had a Disdainful Stroke in your hand, you'd still have hope.
Exactly.
Just need to mill them out.
All I want is hope, but no. Yeah. It just felt so brutal. Ugh. Anyway, I do think
card.
that the
Divergent Equation.
It's a great card. Definitely one of in your deck.
And actually, it's a good card to call out because I think probably better in sealed than in draft even.
Yeah.
So.
Just because the games do go longer, and you might run into the situation where you're trying to find gas at the end of the game.
Yeah, and classic mode of just pick and yeah. Sorry to cut you off, but the old you use your removal spells and then they play a bomb, pick them back up.
Yeah. And I was thinking almost even the situation of it's the end of the game, your library is really low. You're literally running out of cards. You're like, I just need to get some of those back, and you can do that. So, in a blue-red spells deck, obviously, in black or green or whatever, you can get stuff back. But I don't know. This format has proven to be definitely more interesting and a lot more stuff going on than a 5 archetype format seemingly would have. Coming off of the heels of TMNT, where weirdly it does feel like this state of I kind of am sitting in this spot like, is Marvel superheroes going to be a 10 archetype format? I don't know.
Most think
But
probably not at this point.
it kind of just feels like Magic, they're trying to be like, I don't know if it's 5 archetype sets are easier to make because there's half as many archetypes. Because like, I mean, I have I have had success with Rakdos decks in this format. Which actually, what is that called in the other worlds? The Rakdos was like
Oh God, I'll never.
stinger quill or something.
That sounds right.
Stinging pencil, something like that. I can't remember. But like starting a draft off as an allied color to see where you fall was a strategy that we had said early on in the format. I don't know if you still do that, but I have gotten to a bunch of situations where it's like I could go Gruul right now and see what happens. Spoiler alert: most of my experiments with that have not gone super well. I did have a Rakdos deck
usually
that
just
went
kind of
well,
commit
but
to something fairly early.
yeah,
Something in distribution.
yes. So I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on whether like 5 archetype draft formats are good or bad? Like, should we just keep doing these? Like, are they actually? Is this something that you would not want to see more of? Whether you think it's actually good or bad for Magic or whatever. Do you notice?
No, actually, I think I wanted to comment on this earlier, but we kind of just moved on. So I'm glad you circled back to it. But you were mentioning, Wizards just sort of making it clear that they are at least interested in exploring this as a new direction for Limited. Not necessarily new, I guess, but like doing it more frequently, like you said, right? Like this used to just be guild sets where kind of did this, and that's mostly it. But the way you described it, of like, okay, there's 10 possibilities and 8 players, it's possible everyone gets along, versus when there's only 5, it's not possible. I think that verbalized what I've been liking about it, which is that the cool thing about draft is that tension. Right? It is trying to find the one color pair at the table that nobody else is, which still kind of must exist, right? But it's hard to do, and it's always like that. Wait, you were drafting that, like, especially with inexperienced drafters. I feel like anytime you just everyone flips their cards over onto the table, you'll just see there's like these pockets of everyone drafting the same thing, and each one of them is all surprised and think the other player did something wrong, right? But I like that they're forcing those collisions, that they're forcing that. Like, there is no play nice and everyone gets the deck they want anymore.
Yeah.
What is this? Old school Magic? No way. Today, you get a fight for your right to have the archetype.
No, it's true, because like for the last 6 months or so, I have been kind of been sad that there haven't been 8 or 10 archetypes in these like draft formats, right? It's just been like, aw. But there, you do run into the situations where it's like you're at the end of a draft, it's pack 3, and you're like, nobody is drafting Azorius. You're like, nobody.
Yeah.
As though it's like all the cards are going around, and you're like, well, I guess nobody did, and you just like see that. It's like, okay, I guess nobody drafted that. That's just what happened.
That's the thing that happened.
And it's just like very obvious. Where like when you're playing the 5 archetype formats, it's like that can happen, but it happens so less frequently. Where it's like, whoa, was nobody playing Lorehold? I was like, are you serious? Sometimes you're just like, why is this Arc of Hunger or whatever going around? You're like,
Right.
this is insane. but it is, yeah, if you have five, the math does work out. You have 8 players. I mean, okay, sorry. Before we get into what I'm actually trying to say, is that, like, yes, a lot of people have said the reason you only want five is because when you're doing a pick two draft, you have 4 players. So everybody gets one archetype and there's one extra, which would be the same thing as like the 10-8 ratio, whatever. But if you're playing with 8 players and there's only 5 archetypes, you need to make all of the archetypes deep enough that each archetype can be played by 2 players, except for one of them is just like off to the side. So if, let's say, this set, Witherbloom is the archetype that has been cast aside, and everybody's fighting to play, be one of the 2 players of all the other archetypes. And so if you decide I will be the one who picks up the Witherbloom cards, nobody's fighting against you because obviously it's the one that's been cast aside, which we have seen in the grand scheme of things was kind of what happens. And so it's like, there will be 2 Lorehold, 2 Silverquill, 2 Prismari, whatever, and then Quandrix and Witherbloom, basically. Which could be good for Magic. I don't know. I was kind of asking this question thinking it was going to be the opposite, but once you started talking about that, like the pros of fighting over archetypes, maybe that's a good thing.
I think that's the way I'm thinking about it now, and it was triggered by you explaining that idea of like, oh, you know, with 10 archetypes, you get the possibility. It never happens, but you get the possibility of 8 people in different. That's not what draft is about. Fuck that. You want to like all have your different color pies and like do the thing you're supposed to do. You can go play casual commander or something like that. But if you want to play cutthroat, I don't care about you. I care about me, which is what draft is all about. It's literally what they teach you. You don't care about the person to the left of you. You care a little bit about the person to your right. But there's kind of nothing you could do about it, so fuck you. Then 5 archetypes is the right number. And I think 5 plus this like out into the 5 color deck.
So 6.
It's kind of right. And like you're saying, there's like a back door. Like in each archetype, there's one thing you want to be doing, but there's kind of another way to play it if like you get bullied out of your seat a little bit. And
so if it's like there's the like obviously Quandrix is the rampy deck, Silverquill is the aggro deck, but you can play like a mid-range to bigger version of Silverquill. You can play like the full-on graveyard Lorehold, or you can play much more aggressive Lorehold. Prismari is mostly big, but some of it is like, do you play creatures? Do you not play creatures in that deck? And then we've kind of found that Witherbloom, you could do the synergy-based deck, but I think more of an aggressive deck works a little bit better. But finding those areas of like, well, we could have 2 of these drafters, but they might have opposing strategies, even in the same color pairs. Where it's like, well, yeah, of course you got all the Prismari creatures because I'm playing creatureless Prismari. So now we don't often get to do this. This isn't a normal thing, but the fact that it does happen sometimes is the reason we play draft.
Yeah.
So the fact that we do have a Mind Rot card that is really high up and you want to be playing it is cool. Because we never get that. So
I actually used to say that all the time, that limited formats where Mind Rot is a good card are good limited formats. I'm starting to have this hypothesis that this is 5 archetype, 5 plus 1 archetype.
5 plus 1
might just be the right format for draft. Draft is explicitly 8 people fighting over the same pool of cards.
Yeah.
Sealed is a different story, right? Like
yes, where it's just
in draft in particular, the fact that it's 8 people fighting over the same pool, 5 plus 1 is kind of feeling like the right number.
Yeah, I do wonder. Like, I would love if off-color strategies were more viable, and if they did have secret off-color ones that did work. Because I remember in Lorwyn, there were off-color uncommons that were just kind of confusing because they didn't necessarily actually mesh super well.
Yeah,
Or it's
I
like,
think they're
hey,
clearly thinking about that because of what they did in Lorwyn.
yeah,
But they haven't figured out how to design that quite yet, I think.
yeah,
Because it's hard to hit that balance, right? Like, you want it to be an unusual strategy. It shouldn't be the best thing to be doing. It should be
No.
like a backdoor play. So how do you kind of toe that line? If this is the future of limited magic, I'm sure they'll figure it out because they have a lot of like really
Smart
creative
people
and
behind
smart
this, yeah.
design. Assuming they, decide to pay them and all that. But
Yeah, and listen to their needs and wants. Yeah,
yeah,
that is actually very up in the air.
huge if.
Yes, we actually. I wonder if like there's a possibility that we are entering into a weird time with Arena and some stuff because of everything that's going on.
Yeah.
So, a little nervous about that, but that's for another time.
Yeah. Oh, but
But it
just
would
to
be-
finish my thought on the
go ahead.
the drafting thing, I was just going to say, I think keeping the 5 archetypes deep is more important than adding those off color or off archetype possibilities. So if they have to like commit,
Cards.
power to an off, I would prefer they have like the multiple ways to play the same archetype. I think that's more important than the potential
course.
to do the off color thing.
Yeah, and I think when they do the off color thing, like I am interested in gold cards that are non archetype specific being at rare as opposed to uncommon. And not doing too many, because like a thing that they've been doing recently is like there's a bunch of different like 2-color rare cards, which I think is a good thing. That may or may not play together, but then sometimes it's like, oh, and this is like the 3-color guide that's like obviously like a
Right.
commander or something.
That's like that's
but,
like all
is
of all of
isn't
them.
worth playing in the actual draft format or whatever. It's like I'd rather that be turned into here's the Rakdos creature at rare who's like really good, and if you can end up getting it or 2 of them, that would be a busted draft deck because nobody wants that card because it's an aggressive Rakdos card. So obviously you can't splash it. You have to be in Rakdos for it to be good.
You have to have
could-
this card basically.
Yeah, and and maybe some other pieces that like might not work in other decks. That could be kind of interesting. So I'm looking forward to seeing if that's what we kind of move into. Obviously, we won't get that reality fracture, and the Universes Beyond stuff can be kind of like funky with things, just because you have so much of Universes Beyond is just making sure that the characters make sense with their own sensibilities. And I already know people get frustrated with like the commander decks that go with that. So like,
Right.
a good example is like in the Final Fantasy X commander deck, there's a character called Lulu. Lulu's a black mage in the game who like has a bunch of like, obviously dark stuff. She's very goth, but because the commander deck, the main character is Titus. It's a Bant deck. And it's all about counters and proliferation. And so black is not part of the color identity. So when you have Lulu, who's in Final Fantasy X, you can't put Lulu in a different thing. She has to be blue in this situation. And then her abilities are very blue proliferate stuff, which are like, yeah, but that's not what you did in the game, really. Flavorfully, you should be black for sure. It's like you look
I feel like a goth character kind of just has to be a black.
Yeah, and so like her card just didn't really fit super well. Well, some of the other ones from that, you're like, okay, I could see this. Yeah, this makes sense. Yeah, but her in particular, I was like, that's not the best representation of this character. So I think the
It's always
Commander
weird. Like
products.
sometimes there isn't a perfect magic color that fits something. Then when it is, like when it's like this character's known because they
Like,
wear a lot of black and have that like
Yeah.
dark gloomy thing going on.
well, when they're the black mage, and there's literally a thing called black magic, and it's like, yeah, they're the one that has all the evil
It
spells.
couldn't be more like 1-to-1. Like
It's it's just
all
like,
the other black magic stuff in that set is black too. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's literally like wands of black mages and stuff.
Yes.
Like,
And so it's just the kind of like, yeah,
I get
But
the
you
like
can't-
the dark and gloomy sort of like pensive and like inner thoughts kind of thing could be blue if that
Yeah.
was related to her character at all. But like I mean obviously at least you got to do Demir, right?
yeah. Like if she was a Demir character, it would make a ton of sense. Like you'd be totally fine. But that's one of the weird things with the Commander products, as far as like those things. But
Right,
it also
'cause
leads
has
us
to
to
fit into the identity.
yeah. But the main thing I'm bringing this up is because they're trying to fit the characters into these different color pairs and stuff. Maybe they just do like 10 archetypes, because it's like, well, at least we can get all the characters out there, and that'll be easier for us. And so-
Actually, that kind of just made me think of something else, which is one of the sort of tensions that we've been seeing is that they have to print like powerful legendary permanents for Commander at various like rarities and at various color identities to help out with Commander.
Yeah.
But then
help out.
it's sort of annoying to have them in the limited formats a lot of the time. But if the limited formats are often only like 5 factions, you can maybe squeeze in Commander cards at rare that essentially don't really matter for the limited format, right? Like it could be an Azorius card in Strixhaven that is going to warp the limited environment very little, and so you can kind of give the Commander players what they want.
Yeah.
Well, without trashing the limited format. Whereas if there's 10 archetypes, then no matter what you print, you're kind of... it's going to affect limited.
Exactly. Because that card obviously shows up and like, oh, that takes the slot of the card that was supposed to be a good Azorius rare, but in fact is only a good Azorius rare in Commander.
Yeah.
But not in Draft.
Or you printed one that you just wanted for Commander that's really good, and now the color pair you printed that in is too good. Whereas you can kind of dodge that and put it in like an off color pair. And
For sure. And like, I know that you're thinking right now, listener out there, that like, oh, well, you can't have Azorius cards in Strixhaven because obviously that's not one of the color pairs. So what character would be the, I guess, we'll call them Fate Hold, because that's what they're going to be in Reality Fracture. The Fate Hold card. And my answer to that is, I don't know, figure it out. Wizards, you could have somebody do that. Maybe they're a villager that's not, like, there could
I
be
mean,
a rebellion.
Strixhaven's particularly not well suited to that kind of thing.
It's true.
But like,
Well, guild
Ravnica's the example. You could just have someone from another guild in a set that isn't about that guild.
It's true. Also,
Squeeze it in.
to be fair, you could have, like, what if, actually, for Strixhaven, this is obviously the end of the set or whatever, but like, Flavor Flea, what's going on is Strixhaven, the first time we went there, it was Arcavios, just one place. Nobody's experienced it besides the people that live there, and Planeswalkers. Now, the second time we come, Omen paths were open. The big thing is that there's a bunch of exchange students that are here from different places, some of the main characters of the story. You could have substitute teachers from other places that have different color identities come in teaching classes. So you feasibly could have a Azorius character teaching things about the history of law on different places, perhaps Ravnica, come in to explain certain things.
Plus, you're right. It's just omen paths.
Yeah,
Fuck you,
someone
listener who raised that complaint. It's just omen
Yeah.
paths.
It's just
Anyone
an
can
omen
be
path.
here for any reason. That's why they
Yeah.
did this.
I think that my way actually makes a ton of sense and would be very interesting. Where
I
it's
do
like,
really like the substitute teacher way, and I feel like they've kind of dabbled with the like visiting professor, which is the university version of a substitute teacher, by the way. But,
okay, sorry.
But it's always like in the color pairs that already exist, right? Like it's
Yeah.
Liliana and she's just black or whatever. But it's like
Yeah, but
they
you're
could
like-
totally have a visiting professor who's trying to teach them something that is outside of just
Yeah.
the magic that they know.
Exactly. It's like, why can't you have a Celestia professor teaching Witherbloom stuff? Being like, well, you know, I'm not in on all the black magic stuff, but I know the green for sure, and I can teach you a little bit of the white stuff that blends in. That could be a cool thing that they could have done. Wizards, we're giving that to you for free right there. Now I don't know if you're deciding to like get rid of omen paths in the next couple of years or what you're doing with the story or the
Like who
lore
knows?
or-
They already have in Wizards. Or
yeah, they
something,
already
right?
figured it out.
5
They're like,
years
oh, that
ago.
would be perfect. I mean, like they're not doing what I wanted them to do, which is reality fracture is breaking into all the IPs that have been around in Magic, and we find out that every multiverse or every universe and plane is a different IP that we can go to the My Little Pony plane and all that stuff. People
Nope,
had already
instead it's just
mentioned.
inverted Strixhaven.
It's just Strixhaven, but different. There's some more stuff there. I mean, obviously it's an entire timeline that he changed, but it's based on Strixhaven, which is so funny because Jace has like no real tie to Strixhaven at all. So
Yeah.
he does have a tie to
That we
a
know.
different 2 or 10 color place called Ravnica, but
Yeah. Imagine it's inverted Ravnica.
it's 20 archetypes.
But they're all the same.
Yeah.
It's like there's two. It would just be like whatever the opposite of Azorius is still white blue, I guess.
Or would it literally be like he does the opposite of Ravnica, which is instead of guilds, like 10 guilds, it's literally just like 5 factions, and it's just the colors of magic. And Jace is like, we're getting back to basics.
Yeah.
Fuck all
Back
this
to basics. Like,
2-colored
goblins,
things.
merfolks.
Yeah,
elves.
we're just doing
resetting.
we're just doing race shit. Like it's all protection from colors. It's all
Oh
like
my
that's
God,
what we
that
care
would've been
about.
So great. Land destruction.
Yeah, land destruction,
God,
hand
sinkhole?
disruption. Yeah,
Bring sinkhole back.
basically it's like the we need to bring back the hand size matters. You know, that's a very Jace thing to do.
Oh yeah.
Um,
That,
like
that's his thing. He brings
Yeah.
back mana burn.
if wait, the fact that in Reality Fracture, if they changed the rules of Magic, like Reality Fracture happens and upkeep is gone. Like, what if that was what happened, right?
That would be so cool.
That would be crazy. And they're like, every card that refers
That
to
would
the
really
upkeep,
fracture my reality.
that would be crazy, right? Like, every card that refers to upkeep now just says beginning, like before draw or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, and that would just be like, yeah, there's no upkeep. It's just, and then every video of people being like, untap, upkeep, draw. It would just be like, untap, draw. And that would just, because like, people have talked about this before, that upkeep is just useless. Like, we've had a lot of things that have been kind of like frivolous in Magic.
Yeah.
And as far as turns go, upkeep's the only thing. And they've tried to get away from it with certain cards triggering at different times. So, like, right after you draw and like at the beginning of your first
Beginning
main
of your
phase.
pre-combat main phase. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is so wordy. So wordy.
It's pretty wordy.
So, oh, what instead of getting rid of upkeep, what if we took the upkeep and just moved it after you draw? So it's untap, draw, upkeep, main phase. That would be pretty wild.
Yeah, but that would kill all of my shenanigans where I have to like stop on your upkeep to kill something before you draw because it's important. Isn't that a part of the game we really want to preserve?
They also let you you pass priority as you untap each land.
Okay, that's better.
Yeah. So you can interact with each land untapped.
I have to choose the order of the permanents that I untap because
Yeah.
I'm passing priority after every single one. That's better. Yeah, you should be a game designer.
I think I should be. That sounds like a lot of fun to me. It's like, so
I am in favor of abolishing upkeep, though. It's just it's just an extra step, and I think it was once required, but when the game was more complicated, but they've like simplified the rules because they realize where the interesting complexity lies, and where the boring complexity lies, basically, and they're trying to sort of crush the boring complexity. They've done a pretty good job of that, but upkeep is still, I think, a remnant of like they used to need it, and now we kind of have it, and it'd be awkward to get rid of it. But it doesn't really serve a real purpose other than these weird timing things.
And I think my biggest thing is that like I was talking about sagas because sagas trigger after you draw, because it matters for like Fable the Mirror Breaker and stuff like that. But I wish they would just make a decision. You know what I mean? Where it's like, can we just do it or not do it or whatever? But like, why are we like kind of pussyfooting around a little bit? Where it's like, we're gonna make this one does like right after you draw, but like this one's at your upkeep. This one's at the beginning of your main phase. That's pre-combat or whatever. It's like, it'd be nice if it wasn't so good. Just make a decision. Just do one of them. I know that like the beginning of your first pre-combat main phase or whatever matters if you're getting mana and stuff, but it's like, just make it so you keep mana through through the beginning of your turn. That you only lose mana like at the end of your main phases and at the end of combat, or something like that.
Well, the thing is, the original idea was that you would have stuff that was so busted, like 3/3 for 4, that you would have to pay for it again every turn because it was just that good.
Yeah.
And so you had to pay your upkeep for the cards that you were housing. And so it made sense to actually do it before you draw. Like, hey, you have to decide whether are you going to keep this or you're going to lose it. Choose now, pay for it, and then you get to draw your card. And then they moved away from those kind of downside cards where it's like, hey, you have to pay for me every turn or you lose me. Like, that kind of stuff was a big part of old school Magic and is not a part of today's game, really. And so then upkeep became this weird thing where like good things happen on your upkeep. And it was like, is this when I want the good thing to happen? And so like originally it made a lot of sense.
That's true.
It's before you draw, you have to choose if you want to keep this thing around or not.
Yeah. And if you draw, you didn't pay it, so it's gone.
Then yeah, it's gone. You didn't pay for it. You don't get to like look at the card first. And
then be like, oh, never mind. But now they're trying to be nice.
Although you probably did because you were a cheater at that time if you were playing Magic.
Yeah, my name's whatever, Mark Justice or whatever his name is.
Everyone's a cheater. So.
Everyone's a cheater back then. I think I've actually changed my entire idea and like opinion about this entire thing that we were talking about. We shouldn't get rid of upkeep. We should bring back cumulative upkeep.
Yes.
I think power creep is getting out of control. Absolutely out of control. What we need is all these busted creatures that we have You just need to slap Echo onto them.
Yeah.
Or you need to... We need something so that spells decks can be reign supreme once again.
Hey man, I'm talking Sinkhole Blastoderm deck. It's the whole thing. I blow up your lands until I get to cast my 5/5, and then I pay for that 5/5 every turn, and let's see if you can come back.
Yeah. I think that sounds great.
Yeah.
I think we
Keep
should also
Magic.
bring back him to Turok as well.
Sure.
How do we attack these? Is it spells decks? Blow up their lands, make them discard cards.
Honestly,
That's it.
why isn't him to Turok allowed? You know? You just have players who get to draw as many cards as they want all the time. And all of their cards do 17 things. And
Yeah.
discard is garbage. They don't let me have Thoughtseize. They don't let me have...
The discard is good for them too. They have like
Yeah, it's like every
payoffs.
discard spell is actively good for my opponent and terrible for me.
Mm-hmm.
Even Thoughtseize wouldn't be that good. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Well, that is actually hilarious because, like, all right, what are the two decks that are like people hate right now? Which is like, is it spells stuff, and that draws a bajillion cards, and landfall, which has a bajillion lands and gets a bunch of landfall triggers.
Yeah,
We
I want
need-
him to nail some of those lands once in a while.
Yeah, and sinkhole to also just blow up their shit.
Oh man, can you imagine? I want him to Turak, make them discard their Evolving Wilds. Sinkhole blows up a forest. Let's go.
Let's go. This is the kind of stuff I'm talking about.
Real magic.
Real magic. We need to get back to real magic.
And you know what? Bring back interrupts while we're at it.
No, don't do that. Those were dumb.
Can I have
They
damage on
went
the
too
stack?
far. No, damage on the stack was also dumb. No, as a sack
Yes.
player, I know you want that.
Make my deck so much better.
I do think mana burn could come back though. I'm fine with that. Because
I mean, like, yeah.
well,
it has
okay.
the same issues as a lot of things. Where it's like, did you pay 9 mana?
Yeah. How much mana did you pay for that? It means that so the one downside that it gives is that combo players that get infinite mana could die, and they have to keep track of shit. So it de-incentivizes you of playing combo because you could accidentally kill yourself, or you have to just like sit there with a pen and paper and explain how you're not dying to mana burn, and then the entire game is just trying to figure out whether they're going to die to mana burn or not.
I like the potential of the combo player killing themselves. I hate the idea that I have to track whether they're not
Yes.
killing themselves.
Yeah, so that is that thing. The other downside is that it's unintuitive, and people don't really know the difference between lands and mana, and so trying to teach that rule is difficult.
I think it's just a bad rule that they were right to get rid of.
It's kind of a bad rule. Oh, I just remembered. It reminded me of like when you were saying upkeep costs and cumulative upkeep. Like the beginnings of Magic were so rooted in like fantasy games and like Dungeons and Dragons and stuff that it's like when you cast a spell, you cast the spell. The spell has been cast. It's done.
Yeah.
When you cast a summon spell, which is a creature, you have to keep it around, and you have to spend
Right.
energy and magic to keep that from
That's
disappearing.
exactly what it was, yeah.
Yeah, and it took me way too long to realize
Like, how
that.
did you
that-
bind a demon to your will? That wasn't easy.
Yeah,
You
no,
gotta.
you have to give
pay
it mana
life
every turn.
Every turn.
Yeah, and the fact that when I was like first starting to play like the world enchantments and stuff, I didn't know what that was, and like the fact that artifacts turned off when they were tapped is wild.
Yeah.
So it's like early Magic. We've talked about this on the podcast. Tapped creatures tapped blockers didn't deal damage.
Correct.
So Blue's card Twiddle, which taps or untaps stuff, was their way of removing creatures in combat.
Oh, I'm not gonna
And
say it was super good, but it was better than it is now.
it's way better than it is now. But it's extremely unintuitive to know that because attackers are tapped. So it's like, but blockers can't be tapped. Wild.
Yeah, Magic used to have this idea of like summoning great creatures
Mm-hmm.
from another realm.
Yeah.
You had to bind them to your will. There had to be a reason that they're fighting for you. And now it's a little more like Pokemon.
A little bit. Like you find them and they're yours forever.
And I choose you.
Yeah. I mean, Magic does want to be a lot more like Pokemon because of all the like special foilings
Yeah,
and
true.
arts and the stuff. They wanted to get in on that sweet scalper money, which obviously is working out because they fucking sold out of their Goblin Storm Commander deck thing over the Secret Layer thing. Actually, that blew out of proportion. We didn't even talk about that because it's not really news that we care about for like Arena, but like this is wild. I don't know if you saw this whole thing.
No.
All right, so this artist, fucking Wizards of the Barge, I think it's called, his like Instagram name, but his actual name escapes me at this moment because I'm a couple.
Could
PhD.
also be Wizards of the Barge, you know.
I'm pretty sure his parents named him that actually. Yeah, legally. Anyway, makes this commander deck, awesome art, fantastic. It's perfect for what it is, which is it's a Goblin Storm deck, so it's all about Zada, Hedron Grinder.
Of course.
Cast a bunch of spells, make a bunch of stuff, but it's the entire commander deck. He makes a bunch of pieces for it. I don't think he makes every single card, but there's a lot of great pieces and cards. There's a good number of pieces. Deck goes on sale Monday morning, sells that instantly. Nobody can get it. Immediately afterwards, marked up like whatever 100 times or not. No, okay,
Yeah.
that's way too ridiculous. But like, people are selling it on eBay for $500, $700, $800.
Okay.
For
so
this one commander deck.
10
I think
to
it
20
was
times, probably
something like that. And it is just going bananas. And so everybody who was trying to get it can't get it. And it's just a bunch of scalpers who are just trying to make a buck, right?
Yeah, that's exactly like Pokemon.
Yeah. Wizards of the Barge artist posts about this on Instagram, basically saying this is ridiculous, with a page of eBay saying, I would rather you guys proxy my cards and play with those than pay these prices, is what he's trying to say. Because like, you should never have to pay this much money to play with my cards. Just if you like the art, proxy it, play it in your deck. You have my blessing.
Sure.
Next day, 50 new eBay stores or like proxy stores pop up selling his art. But not just the deck, but like basically taking his entire website and selling it.
It's not the same thing, though. It's not the same
It's-
thing to say,
it's
hey, you feel free
not the
to
same
just
thing.
like print my art and play with your friends, as it is to sell it and make a profit out of it.
Exactly. And so then he posts like, lol, this is not what I was talking about. Now I'm spending my entire week just trying to take down all these stores of you guys just blatantly ripping off all my shit. And it's just like, oh my God, this is getting out of control. And
People are
so,
the
because,
worst, man.
and they're all just trying to quote him being like, he said we could proxy his stuff. It's like, not to
Doesn't
make
mean you
money.
can sell it. It's totally different.
You can't sell it. You can't sell that shit. It's like, oh my God. I don't know what is going on, but it's insane. Just the stupid shit that, anyway. Makes me
That's how
mad.
licensing works, though. It's like there's open licenses, and then there's like, you can't use this for commercial reasons. And it's just, I don't know. It's assumed based on what he said that you can't fucking sell his art for your own
Yeah.
profit.
No shit. Him just literally being like, hey, proxy this. Doesn't mean...
Don't worry about it. Go have fun. Like, don't worry
Yeah.
about.
It's
Don't
very
pay
obvious what that
$800
means.
for a fucking goblins deck.
Yeah. So anyway, it's been a crazy week as far as that stuff goes. But like, it reminds me, I saw this thing that was talking about how like this inventor was like, if you invent something, perhaps a recipe or some sort of gadget, he's like, don't patent it. He's like, if you patent that recipe, you have to write down and explain exactly why yours is different than everybody else's and submit it into the patent organization, and everyone has access to that. So basically any company can look at that, see exactly what you did, change it just enough that it's theirs, and then they get to sell it for whatever they want. And then if you try to sue them saying this is too close to my patent, they have way more money and way more lawyers to fight you in court than you do. You do not have enough money or resources to fight this corporation. You will lose. So he's like, if you invent something, do not patent it. Just keep it a secret, make your shit, and let everybody guess what it is. And then you'll go way farther, which is just wild to me that that's how the world works.
Yeah, I've seen enough people patenting stuff that I think is like pretty main, like run-of-the-mill idea.
Mm-hmm.
That is really just about, it's like a resume thing at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Like patents used to be, maybe at one point, were about protecting the intellectual property of the whoever created it. But now I kind of think of them as just like, it's just like just some nonsense to put on your resume.
It's just nonsense.
Like,
well,
when you work somewhere so the legal team can take action against somebody or whatever. Like,
exactly.
It's always such a, I don't know. I don't know. It's never a groundbreaking idea.
No. It's also just like, it just drives me nuts that this is the type of thing that like, that, oh, hey, the thing that's supposed to help you and like keep you safe from people stealing your stuff is actually the exact opposite of what you want to do.
Yeah, we call it America, Zach. Get used to it.
Even in Canada.
Even though it's probably like, Samsung's probably most famous for just stealing people's ideas, making it cheaper, and then just paying the fee for having broken
just being like, sure.
It's like
I think the
most
most
undersold Dysons by 10, like by like 100 times. So
it's like, it doesn't matter. We have enough money to deal with it, and like that's also like that's a whole other thing where it's like, yeah, when the fine when the punishment is money or a fee, if you have,
you can do a mathematical calculation to figure out how much money you have to make off this to be worth it to pay
be profitable.
That fee, right?
Doesn't matter. And like the main thing I was trying to say with this whole patent thing is that like Coca-Cola, obviously secret recipe, perfect. Obviously they don't have a patent on the recipe because they'd have to tell people how to make it if they did that. So everybody else is just guessing, and turns out they're still just the best. So sorry, Pepsi, but
yeah, it is the best. Makes me think of a Family Guy bit because Albert Einstein, when he was like a teenager, he worked at a patent office. And it's just like a random bit that comes in out of nowhere in the show. And it's just this guy coming into the patent office. And Albert's sitting behind the desk. And he's like, yes. And he's like, I'd like to get a patent on Smith's theory of relativity. And Albert like, let me take a look at that. And Smith like leans over and he just bashes him on the head a bunch of times, takes the papers and runs.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so funny because like, obviously it's probably not what happened. But it's
probably.
essentially how patent offices work. It's just like them like, oh yes, you'd like to patent your idea. Like, fuck you.
Fuck you. It's mine now. Yeah. It's so true. Also, I just want to say that's so funny that you're explaining, it happened in Family Guy. It's just this random thing that pops up just like it has nothing to do with the episode. I was like, you mean like every episode of Family Guy?
In case our viewers don't know how Family Guy works.
Family Guy works. Yeah.
Never heard of the Family Guy.
Yes. They have a lot of jokes that are really funny but have nothing to do with what's going on. And that's like the best part of the show.
It's always the best part of the show.
Family Guy is basically just a bunch of like TikTok like videos. It's like if I could just watch all the little clips from Family Guy scrolling, that's what it is. That's all Family Guy is. Like I can just get rid of all the other parts that are like have any context. I don't need context for anything from Family Guy, just about. Which is hilarious because it's like weirdly in this like in between where it's like it almost
like we couldn't get away with that, but like I guess Robot Chicken was a little more like full on.
It definitely, but that show is awesome too. Maybe I would just watch just random clips of little skits,
just like 10-second things that are funny. It was ahead of its time. One of the weird things I remember about Family Guy is there's just one scene. I don't even remember what it is, but Peter like falls or something, and scrapes his knee, and he just holds it and exclaims for way too long.
Yes.
And for whatever reason, that was just the funniest thing ever.
Yeah.
Like, the longer it went, the funnier it got. And I was just like, I don't understand why this is so funny, but it is.
For those of you who, it's a very well-known little
yeah, it must be, right? Like
he just goes, and he just does that for
just
feels like
way
7
longer
minutes.
than you would think. Yeah.
Like, and every time you think it's going to stop, it doesn't, and it just keeps going. And like it doesn't really. I don't remember it changing cadence. It just feels like they kind of put it on loop and just like saw how long they could go for.
That's that kind of like comedic genius. It's like I have no idea why this is funny, but it is so funny. And I feel like if you did anything about this was slightly different, it just wouldn't be this funny.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, anyway. Oh boy. Well, Jeff, I feel like
we went on some tangents there. I think
we did. Well, it was a proper Family Guy episode.
Yeah, exactly. We had a main plot, but mostly it was TikTok tangents.
Yeah. We did what we needed to do. I feel more prepared for this event next week, without being super explicit about why. Let's just say that.
Ooh.
I don't know. Anyway, do you have any last thoughts before we go to last call?
Just that I'm super excited to go play in paper, and that I think next week before we actually go do that, we're going to talk a little more about it. So
that's right. Yeah, we got some cool stuff cooking up for next week.
Join us next time to figure out exactly how we're preparing for that transition from arena to paper.
That's
Hint,
right.
we're practicing our mana burns.
Yeah, that's right. I got my pen and paper out. All right, let's go to last call. Let's rate this beer that we've been drinking this evening. Artificial Paradise. Let's see if it's actually feels like paradise. As always, we rate our beers on a scale from bronze to mythic, just like the tiers in Arena. However, this has nothing to do with what tier you are in currently, because everyone is in different tiers at different times. So don't feel bad when we say the bronze beers. They're trash. They're horrible. You spit them on the ground, you pour them out. They're disgusting. Yucky.
Silver beers are bad, or just kind of boring.
Gold beers are fine, but you wouldn't really drink it again.
Platinum, super solid. You would totally drink it again.
Diamond beers are exceptional. You like these a lot. You show them off to your friends.
And Mythic, these are the best of the best. Fuck it. I'm going to go with practiced offense. It's a practiced offense of the beer world.
That's a very good card. It's very good.
Technically the second best rare.
Okay. All right.
That's what I was feeling.
What do you think about this IPA here?
You know what? I like it. This was a... to me, this feels very classic. Like, this is what IPAs used to taste like before people were like, we can't have IPAs taste like this anymore. We have to add fruit, and we have to double whirlpool dry hop it, and then, throw a cheesecake in it. But also, like, I get why other breweries are doing that now, because this does feel old school, but not like old school enough to be cool. This is a very weird like beer review, but it's like this is a solidly made IPA that would have absolutely smashed it like
10 years ago.
10 years ago. And now we're like, we can't make IPAs like that because that's just what everyone expects an IPA to taste like. And maybe in another 5 years, this will be retro again. Be like, okay, that's how we're supposed to make IPAs. It's just like stick to the hops that we know taste good. And, you know, the grain bills and stuff. But I am feeling like, I feel like I needed more from this. You know what I mean? So
okay, yeah, sure.
I'm still a little in that phase of like, I'm not ready to go full retro IPA yet.
Yeah, this was missing a bit of cheesecake, I will say.
Right. That's a good way to summarize my my review.
Well,
but it's still a well-made beer, and it tastes good.
Yeah. I do think it's interesting because, like, because you don't get IPAs, like, you don't have a lot of breweries that are like, yep, we're just making this IPA now. Where's the gateway for the new IPA drinkers? Like, is it always through sours? Like, is that just like the plan now? Or like, is this why all these breweries are making Pilsners and stuff instead? Trying to be like, trying to find new folks because all their IPAs are not approachable? Like, maybe we need more of this.
I think we do, man.
Maybe they're ahead of their time.
And it's just not necessarily what I'm looking for at this stage in my life, because I went through that phase where I had these beers and these are my intros and I like them. And now I have just the ones that I have that nostalgia with. But maybe some high school kid, or not high school, maybe like college kid is drinking this.
So
and is like,
some 19-year-old child who is now an adult and can drink legally. And those are the only people that we recommend drink alcohol, are people that are old enough. And in Ontario, that's 19.
This province is 19. But maybe this is their first experience with a beer that doesn't, that isn't
piss
PBR or whatever. And they're like, oh, I don't think I like it, but I think it's cool to pretend I like it. And they go through that whole phase.
Oh, my gosh. So actually, random tangent, but like, my mother-in-law recently, her cat went missing, but they found their cat, and it was at this guy's house, and they were like, "Hey, we're gonna come pick up the cat. Can we bring you something? Like, what kind of beer do you drink?" And he said his favorite beer was PBR, and it was just like, I thought you guys were gone. I didn't think you guys existed anymore. You're still around. Wow. Okay. Damn.
How does that
all right.
happen?
This is, but it was a young
like a
guy.
hipster who refused to change. No, a young guy. Okay.
Well, sorry, I meant young as in like probably our age. So obviously very young.
Pretty old.
Okay, he could have been like.
It's exactly a hipster who refused.
Maybe 27, but like maybe somebody who was a little bit younger than us and a hipster that. Or wanted to be through the hipster craze, but like missed it by like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was just surprised to hear that PBR was like the beer of choice. When it was like, I mean, it's so funny actually. Wait, I'm wearing this.
I was like, that's why I think it's funny, because you're wearing a PBR shirt.
Well, it's not it's PBR, but it says Magic the Gathering, obviously. So like that's why it's good.
But for most of the episode, like I know that shirt, but for a lot of the episode, you actually, at least from
can't
what
really
I can see on your camera, you actually can't see that.
I will say
kind of looks like you're wearing a PBR shirt.
That's the point of the thing. But I will say that PBR is not great. Like the reason you drink PBR, I will say the logo. I like the logo. Obviously, I have a shirt with the logo.
Yeah. The logos. I got to say, at least half of their success.
The other half is it's $2.
Yeah,
it was
the other half was when at my college, it was the cheapest keg that you could buy from the local beer store.
Yeah,
so all of the parties were PBR parties.
Yes. Yeah. Same for us as well. And it was legitimately, if you went to a bar and ordered PBR in a can, it cost $2.
Insane.
So like you could go out drinking, and
Right.
that's what it would cost. So like,
You could
And-
spend
and-
$10 and be like, fuck,
and be like,
that's a lot of beer.
Well, plus tip, but yeah.
Fine. You could spend $11.
I was gonna say at least 15, but sure. But yeah. Anyway, it was one of those like, you all kind of hated it, but you kind of liked it because it's what you could afford.
Yeah. Classic. We used to have the debate because James Reddy was slightly more expensive, but slightly higher alcohol content.
Wait, what is this?
Oh, is that a Canadian thing? James Reddy is like I don't know, a cheap garbage
shitty,
beer,
cheap.
but it was 5.5%. But it was only slightly more. It was like about 10% more expensive than PBR, but it was 10% higher.
Interesting.
Actually, I think it was slightly less than 10% more expensive. But it was like, what's the better buy, man?
Yeah, I've never heard of James Reddy before, so
Oh, really? Oh, this is a huge
yeah.
thing in our particular small town, university campus, I guess. But
yeah,
it was,
I guess we
truly disgusting. James Reddy was
That's-
so bad, but
Yeah,
it was
it-
higher ABV.
gotcha. I mean, like, I guess our parties were either like, most people are just drinking 40s, and like
James
lot of,
Reddy
like-
was a little closer to that, like OE,
it's like
yeah. Even though it was only 5.5, like in terms of taste, had that like malt liquor kind of vibe.
kind of vibe,
Yeah,
or it's like you did something to this to make this.
yeah,
taste
like
like that. I mean, like
something wrong
we
with
were
that.
also like we were in California, so like a lot of my parties were just like wine parties because you could get a bottle of wine for
Right.
$2.50 or $2, and then it eventually went to $2.50. But now it's more expensive, I think. But
wine parties were for rich kids here. It's like, well, you got $15 for a bottle of wine? Oh my god.
no, I used to show up to the parties with one red, one white in each hand, and I'd just be essentially just trading wine for other sips of drinks from all the different people that I thought looked nice. So it never worked. Anyway,
I was gonna say, that never worked for you.
no, I just always get way too drunk.
I was like, there's
'Cause
two
I was
ways to
just-
interpret thought looked nice, and I'll just
yeah.
let you clarify which one. Well,
Yes.
we could leave it ambiguous. But,
No, people know. But no. Anyway, what are we going to rate this beer?
I think Platinum's a fine place for this to land for me.
I would think it's very platinum.
Yeah, it was almost like textbook Platinum.
Yeah, it was great. I would drink another one if I had it. I would give this to someone who's never had an IPA before in their life. But
Yeah.
I don't think I'd ever recommend it to somebody who is like a beer drinker. IPA
Unless they were like, I'm looking for something totally like classic that is
Yeah.
Citra, and it'd be like, okay, well, you try this one.
Do you have a recommendation of a beer that tastes like it was made 10 years ago? Actually. In fact, I have a recipe for you right here.
Mad Tom.
Yeah. Okay. I'd rather drink this than Mad Tom.
See, that's what I'm saying. Someone is going to have the affiliation with this that I have with Mad
Is
Tom.
this the new ranking system? Is this better or worse than Mad Tom? And
Well, then everything is just a no, like a worse.
and everything is just like, yeah, of course. It's gotta
Just
be, right?
all bronzes from me and all mythics from
Yeah.
you.
Oh God.
But I think platinum is the right.
It's a
Landing
platinum.
zone
It
for
feels
this.
platinum. Yeah. Nice. Anyway, Jeff, this has been a long episode. Very tangenty, but lots of fun. Let's go to last call. Or not last call. Let's go to closing time because that's the end. That's how you wrap up the show. If you didn't know, that's what closing time means.
Oh, that's I always get those confused. That's why I always say last call when I mean closing time.
Yeah. When they ring the bell and say closing time, you go up and try to get another.
I'm like, cool, I better get a beer right now.
Yeah, because they're about to close.
Yeah.
You know, there's no beer after.
They
that.
love me. They love me.
Yeah. As always, you can reach us at Arena Regulars on Instagram and Blue Sky.
You may also find us on Arena itself under the username Arena Regulars Podcast.
If you want to talk to me personally, you can find me at @theregular_Zach. I'm on Instagram and TikTok. But Jeff, where can they find you?
Best place is our Discord channel. Come hang out. Come chat about what you think about Strixhaven draft, sealed, how you would prepare for a Strixhaven paper event. Are you playing in the Arena Championship qualifier? We want to hear it all. So come tell us what you're up to and explore all the different formats and all the different discussion groups we have. Honestly, it's a lot of fun. The link for that is down in the show notes.
Also, if you like the show, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, follow us on Spotify. Leave us a review there as well. You can find us on YouTube. We got faces that look nice sometimes, and we'll even drink your wine if you bring it to a party and offer it to us. But we are
as long
on.
As it's in a bag.
Honestly, I was just gonna say I haven't been to a party in so long. I don't go out. I don't do
What's
things.
a party?
This is why I play Arena, because I don't leave my house.
We need a dad party soon.
A dad party is just a Discord party. Like
Yeah.
everybody has
That's what
their
I'm
own
talking
stuff.
about,
Yeah.
Tight 20
Except for
minutes.
Yeah, very very clean, crisp.
Before,
The length
somebody's baby
of,
is awake, so they have to leave.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a nap time poop party. That's essentially what it is. When they all sync up. We're all just in the bathroom playing Arena. Anyway, if you want to talk to us about anything or like comment about what was just said or whatever, you can find us at those places. We love to hear your feedback and what you think about the show. This has been the Arena Regulars.
Reminding you that if you're playing in a tournament with a sealed event in a format that has a few different archetypes, just play one of those archetypes.
Oh God, I knew where you were going, and that was so good. All right, good night. All right, that's fine.